Your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign. What's the difference? Stick around and find out. Hi, I'm Lara. Welcome to my channel. You can find me over at my website, astrologymaven.com, and you can also find me here on YouTube every single week where I do horoscope videos for the new and full moons. And I also do these shorter astro nuggets where we take a dive into a specific topic or question and I shed some light on that for you. In this particular video, we're talking all about what we call the big three in astrology. Sometimes it's called the primary triad. Sometimes I like to call it the trifecta. But this is the combination of the sun sign, the moon sign, and the rising sign. When you get a really good understanding of these three major components of the birth chart, you can really understand who you are, what makes you you. It is the jumping off point for everything else that you study in astrology. And even if you don't go any further than that, those three components can give you a lot of information to work with. And there's one other thing that's really important if you want to take it even a little further. And I'm going to talk to you about that at the end of the video. So stick around. Okay, let's dive in here. We're going to start by talking about the thing that most people are familiar with, the sun sign. Right? Pretty much everybody knows their sun sign. Even if you're a major skeptic, you probably know your sun sign. You probably know you're a Taurus or a Scorpio or a Sagittarius. So the thing about that is sun sign astrology has only been super popular over about the last 100 years or so. Prior to that, sun signs were not all the rage, right? So astrology is not a new study. It's been around for thousands and thousands of years. If you consider the fact that it's only been in the last 100 years or so that sun signs have been a really big deal, you kind of start to understand that the sun sign is not the be all end all. It is definitely a key piece of the puzzle, one of the three more important pieces of the chart, but it's not the only game in town. And we can't just look at the sun sign and think that we know everything about a person. Far, far from it. Nevertheless, it is one of the big three. Now, the sun changes signs every 30 days. So everybody born within the same period as the sun is in a particular sign shares that sun sign. So right now I'm recording this video in Taurus season. The sun is in Taurus. So everybody born in Taurus season is a Taurus sun sign. So you can kind of start to understand why, some skeptics go, well, what does that tell me about anything, right? But again, when you take it in conjunction with everything else, then that's how it becomes important. But what does the sun represent in our birth chart? The sun represents the life force. Demetra George calls it the central organizing principle. So you can think of the sun as the thing that everything else revolves around. It is our purpose, our soul's purpose, the ideal vision for our life. It is how we shine out in the world. The sun also represents things like the father or authority figures. And if we're looking at mundane astrology or world events, we can look at the sun to symbolize leaders or rulers. All right, so the sun, our life purpose, our sort of soul sun, S-O-L, soul, S-O-U-L, right? But there's more to it than just that. We have to look at where is the sun placed in our birth chart. So where the sun is placed by sign, by house, and also by aspect, meaning the conversations the sun may or may not have been having with other planets at the time we were born, and the quality of those conversations can help or hinder our ability to shine our full light in the world. So the sign, the zodiac sign that the sun is in, is how we shine, right? That's the how. It is, the sun in Taurus, for example, may shine in a way that is connected to nature, maybe shine in a patient way, in a stubborn way, potentially, in a way that is more grounded and earthy, right? So that's the sign that the sun is in. Next, we have to consider the house. So astrological houses, if you don't know, are life areas, right? So every chart has 12 houses, and each of those 12 astrological houses speaks to specific life themes or life areas. So the house that the sun is placed in is the where we are called to shine, or perhaps challenged to shine our light in the world, right? The light of the sun. So if your sun is in Taurus in the 5th house, then you may be called to shine in that Taurian way through the lens of children, hobbies, special interests, creative projects, these sorts of things, because those are all 5th house significations. All right, the next thing we have to talk about is the aspects. So the planets that may or may not have been in conversation with the sun, right? We have to look at what planets were having conversations with the sun at the moment you were born. And those are the who or the what that is impacting our ability to shine out in the world, for better or worse. So for example, if you have Sun square Saturn in your chart, your ability to shine your light out in the world may have been maybe challenged. You may meet with some obstacles, may require some patience, some maturity, or you may be the person who shines your light out in the world in those more Saturnian ways. See how that works. All right, so that is the sun sign in a nutshell. And we're going to move on next to the second of the big three, which is the moon sign. So the moon sign is a little more personal. The moon changes signs every 2.5 days. So everybody born with a sun in Taurus is a Taurus sun sign. But then you look at this group of people who were also born when the moon was in Libra, say, for those 2.5 days of the month that the moon was in Libra. And those people are Taurus suns, Libra moons, right? So moon sign gets a little more personal. The moon is all about our emotional and physical needs, how we feel nurtured, safe, secure, at home in the world, and how we nurture others as well is our sun sign, is our moon sign. And it's also about our daily ebbs and flows. The moon it mirrors our daily ebbs and flows, and including our physical body, right? If you pay attention to how you're feeling during the moon cycle, if you keep a little journal and you notice that, when the moon is in particular signs, you're feeling certain ways, or when the moon is full, you may be a little more emotional. When the moon is in its dark phase just before it renews each month, is often a time when people are a little bit more tired and they want a little bit more space from others. They want to retreat a little bit, right? So it's really cool to track those things and to keep track of them for yourself so that you can see how the astrology works in real life. And if you're interested in learning more about that, I have over at my website a free guide to working with the moon that you can download over there. So let's keep talking about the moon sign just for a minute here. Think of the moon as the soul's container. So the sun would be the soul. The moon is the soul's container. It is the embodiment of the soul, right? It also represents mother figures. And when we're talking about mundane astrology, world events, the moon represents the people. And of course, just like the sun sign, the sign that the moon is in and the house, right, and any aspects are important in the same way. So the sign is how you meet your physical and emotional needs, the degree to which that happens for you, or they are met, those physical and emotional needs have been met by your caregivers. And then the house is the where those physical and emotional needs are most likely met, or where they're centered around for you. And then, of course, the aspects are the who is impacting your ability to get your physical and emotional needs met as well. So I won't take you through any more examples, but you can refer back to what we said about the sun sign and apply it here to the moon as well. Okay, the next thing we need to talk about is your rising sign. So the rising sign is, first of all, what is the rising sign? Well, the rising sign is whatever zodiac sign was on the eastern horizon at the moment you were born. Which zodiac sign was rising at the eastern horizon when you were born? That is your rising sign. And the specific degree that was rising above the eastern horizon when you were born is your ascendant. So there are 30 degrees in each zodiac sign, right? And the ascendant specifically is that exact degree that was rising above the horizon, the eastern horizon. But the rising sign it speaks to the whole sign. And that changes every 2.5 hours. Sun sign changes every 30 days. The moon sign changes every 2.5 days. The rising sign changes every 2.5 hours. So you can see how that is more personal to you. It is the most personal point in the chart, as I was saying. You can think of the rising sign as the helm of a ship, right? It is what steers you to your purpose or your ideal vision, the sun, right? And it's like your motivation for being embodied, your moon, here in this life. It signifies how we come at life, because if you think about the fact that the rising sign is what was rising on the eastern horizon at the moment of your birth, it's like how you announce yourself to the world when you're born. Here I am, right? So it's how others perceive you, how you come at the world. And it can speak to, over time, like what we're known for, right? What people, the kind of person people perceive us to be. So it's our character, our personality, these kinds of things. So that is a really important piece of the puzzle, together with the moon and the sun. And of course, there's all these other planetary placements as well. But if you, like I said, if you get a good understanding of those three things, then you have a lot to go on. Now, I told you I was going to give you a little bonus at the end here. One more thing that's really important to consider when you're looking at the foundational pieces of a birth chart. And that is the ruler of the ascendant, or the ruler of the rising sign. You cannot look really at a rising sign without considering the ruler. And what do I mean by that? Well, every zodiac sign has a planet that rules it. And some planets rule more than one sign. But when we're looking at a person's rising sign, when we're looking at a birth chart and we're looking at these different pieces, right? We're looking at the rising sign, and we have to consider not only what sign is the rising sign in, right? It's always in the first house when you're using whole sign houses, which I do. And beyond that, though, we look at what planet rules that sign and what is that planet doing in the chart. Where is it? What house is it in? What sign is it in? And what conversations might it be having with other planets? And that all plays a significant role in our lives. So if you are an Aries rising, for example, Mars is your chart ruler. It's the ruler of the ascendant. And so where is Mars in the chart? What house is it in? Is it supported? Is it not supported? What sign is it in? What sign is hosting it? That sort of thing. We have to look at all of those things, and then that gives us more and more information. So the planet that rules the rising sign is like the steerer of the ship, right? Like the helm is the rising sign, and then the planet that rules the ascendant is the actual steerer of the ship. And it speaks to our approach to how do we steer through life? So if our chart ruler is Mars, because we're in Aries rising, or maybe a Scorpio rising, because Mars in traditional astrology also rules Scorpio, then our approach to steering through life may be courageous. It may be warrior-like, like Mars. It may be impulsive. It may take action. It may be more aggressive or assertive, these kinds of things. And then the house that the ascendant ruler is in speaks to the area of life that we are being steered towards in some way. All right. So again, we'll take the Mars, Aries rising Mars example. If you've got that planet Mars sitting in the fifth house, then that area of life speaks to children and creativity and, adventure or pleasure, like the things we do in life for fun, our hobbies and special interests. So that could be the area of life that, as an Aries rising with Mars in the fifth, you are steered towards for whatever reason in this lifetime. The reason that you are embodied, your soul sun is embodied moon in this incarnation. So there you have it. Your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign, and the ruler of your rising sign. I hope you found this really helpful. Please don't forget to check out your horoscopes for the eclipse in Taurus that's happening on April 30th, 2022. If you haven't checked those out yet. And I'll be back here next week with the horoscopes for the lunar eclipse in Scorpio that's coming up on May 16th. All right, I will catch you then. Bye for now.